talk a little bit about last week's game. It's good to have the win, 11th victory bell in a row. We didn't play our best game, but we played better as a team on both sides of the ball. We played together, and we're going to have to learn to do that more and more. Had some very good individual performances. Thought we got a little bit better on the offensive line. We graded out a winning record. When you grade, we grade all 5 of them, and then we grade them all together. Did they grade as a winning group? And this was really the only second time this year we've graded on the offensive line as a winning grade for all 5 of them combined. Very good game out of Deshaun Bond. That's probably his best game he's played in 2 years. No mental mistakes, which a center can't do. Get us in the wrong protection or blocking scheme, and then he was very active on the line of scrimmage and down the field. So very proud of him. Our receivers caught the ball well. I thought we got better at receiver. We're running our routes better. We're kind of eliminating a few guys that continue to make mental mistakes, and we have made a lot of mental mistakes, and we can't do that, especially with the new offense quarterbacks expecting you to be at the right spot. We're kind of eliminating a couple of guys that might have talent, but if you don't know where you're supposed to be, then you don't help at all. So I think our players are learning that. Our running backs ran better. We run for 170 yards or so. That's a goal each game, try to get over 150. We were more physical. We made not as many big plays as we'd hoped. We tried for some shots down the field. We didn't really make any contact other than really the one at the end of the game to make a first down and kind of put the ball game away with Kahil Lewis. So overall, the offense was pretty good. Grading Ross Trail, he probably did a little bit better than I would have expected the first game out there. He was nervous, scared to death, but he's going to have to grow up, and he will. We'll have to wait and see how Hayden is. Hayden's moving around a lot better this week, and hopefully we can get him back in the rotation. But if not, Ross and Gunner will compete again this week to see who runs the offense better in practice. But it's good to have all 3 of those guys. Defensively, first time we've really played as a group on defense. We tackle better, holding the team down to around 300 yards. They were averaging more than 400 yards a game against some good teams on offense. So I thought we tackled a lot better at times. At times we didn't. They did a good job of their formations. We got misaligned a couple of times, and they took advantage of that, and that's what spread teams do. But our linebackers are playing better. Eric Wilson had a good game. Malik Clements had a very good game in the secondary. He took over for Zach Edwards and Carter Jacobs. He was basically our third-team safety and played very well. Made some big hits, made some tackles to keep them from making a first down. So he was kind of a highlight for us in that area. But Cortez Broughton played his best game as a Bearcat. He gets better and better. You can tell how athletic he is, having intercepting the screen pass, and it was a good call by Jeff Kuntz and Robert Prunty, but put him in the right spot. But still, you have to make the play. But he was all over the field making plays. So that being said, we've got to get our kicking game going. Put our defense back against the wall on a 95-yard kickoff return. Just terrible mistake out of our contained guy. It just you can't happen. And it was a guy that's been out there for 2 years, and you just don't expect that to happen. But our kicking game continues to struggle at times. But other than 2 plays, the field goal that we missed right before the half and the kickoff, we were as good as we've been. So hopefully we can get that straightened out. We're going to need to get going into this game. Playing a very athletic team this week in South Florida. Last year they put it to us pretty good. I mean, we had no rhyme or reason of how to stop what they were doing. We had guys out of position. That's coaching and playing. We got to do a lot better job this year and we've worked very hard on this game. This is a similar game to Houston, but South Florida is a little bit different. One similarity, they've both taken a wide receiver and put it quarterback position in the last couple of years, and they really make plays. This Flowers, kid number 9 for USF, A lot like Greg Ward. He throws, he runs. You can't tackle him. He's kind of like they have a 12th and 13th guy on the field sometimes. So if you want to watch an offense that's really spread out, it's more run-oriented. They do throw the ball, but when they do throw it, they really stretch the field. They throw it deep down the field. I think they got a lot of their offense from Ole Miss, who's been famous for that for the last few years. But they've got athletes all over the field. This is a typical Florida team that is going to have a lot of skill guys at each position, a lot of speed, and we got to know how to prepare for that. Their defense is the same thing, very skilled, a lot like our defense, four-man front, little zone, little man coverage. It'll be a challenge for us. This will be one of the better teams that we play the rest of the year. We know that. We knew we had Houston coming in. We knew we had South Florida coming in, both of them at the beginning of the year, and we're going to have to play much better than we have in the past. But our guys, we rallied against Houston. We just didn't finish the game. We're going to have to do the same thing here, but we're going to have to play 4 quarters instead of 3 like we did in our last conference game. Questions?
How much of a motivation do you think last year will be for the players? Do they still care about that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, we make them care about it because we watch the film. Every Sunday, when we play a team that played against us the previous year, we want to get the good and bad from it. So what we do is we take on Sunday to get it out of the way, and we just show the entire team. I want the young kids that's not even going to play to watch it, to see what happened, to see how the good and the bad points. Whether it's Miami of Ohio, whether it's USF, whether it's BYU, any team that we played, you want to get some kind of carryover of what you had done the year before. And so it's an awakening experience to watch that game, because anything that we did, they just took advantage of it. But again, a lot of it was them executing. It's a very good offense. Willie Taggart's done a good job of changing things over the last few years and going to this type of offense with his type of athletes. But it was also had a lot to do with us of not playing very well with our eyes in terms of getting misaligned and taking the bait, because they do a lot of different things. They do a lot of formations.
Did you get a sense from watching the players and how they reacted to watching the film?
Yeah, because we let everybody kind of speak up about what they did wrong, how they did it, and a lot of the younger players even ask, what'd you do that for? Why were you there? Knowing that that's not what we do, and so a lot of it's just mental. I read a good article on, I think it was maybe Pac-Man in the ESPN magazine about 2 months ago, that football in general has become a mental sport. In other words, if you can't get lined up, it doesn't make any difference how good an athlete you are. I mean, you've got to have the edge on defense as well as what they've got on offense. And I thought that was a good article with him about how much film that they study in pro ball. Well, even in college, offenses are much more in depth than pro football. I mean, you don't see any of this stuff that we see in you might see a little bit of it, but what we see in college, the 4 wide receivers on one side, one the other, quarterbacks running around. I mean, it is totally different how to defend some of these offenses and what they see. So going back to what he said, it's all about mentally getting ready to play a game like this.
So do you sense that your players are mad about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we had a lot of discussion last year at halftime and at the end of the game and when we got home about that game. So a lot of carryover they remember from our standpoint as coaches, because whether we beat them or not, we were much better than that. I mean, we absolutely did nothing right. And so it's all about getting in the right frame of mind to play any football team, especially a team that's very complex like these guys are.
What about all your Florida guys that were in that game and you got to do it again? I'm sure they're looking forward.
Yeah, and we do. We have several Florida guys. We have one that's brother plays, Shumby Johnson's brother is number 2, one of the running backs that's played very well for him. And so we've got a lot of carryover in that area. A lot of the guys that we recruited their top receiver, number 87. He went to Toledo and then transferred after the first year, went back to South Florida. So there's a lot of carryover in college football now. There's a lot of transferring, a lot of guys moving around. But that's Florida's one of our areas that we'll go and try to recruit a lot of skill guys.
What's it like as a coach to watch from the sideline a game like that?
Miserable. It's miserable, and you don't feel bad for yourself as a coach. You feel bad for your kids that you can't get them in the right spot. You know, a lot of times, and that our team last year in that game, most we haven't. A little bit in the bowl game, but in that game, you could just see in their eyes, they had no confidence. When you lose your confidence, you don't have a lot, you know, when you're playing college football. And when you lose your confidence against any team, you know, you kind of get in a downhill slide. So as coaches, you try to stop that. Last year, we couldn't make a first down on offense, and then defense was struggling to stay out there the whole time, and it got away so quick that you know, we lost our confidence.
They held your run game down last year also. You improved last weekend. More the same.
Yeah, well, we're getting better at the running game. We've got to run it. You know, we are a spread team, but we're not a spread team in terms of running the option, which is basically what they do most every play. Their quarterback's involved either handing it off, throwing it, or running it. And it's kind of going like back to the triple option. So you have to defend it different. You know, we're defended different than people defend South Florida because there's an extra element involved in their game plan. And so, you know, it's a team sport. I mean, offense has got to play. And last year was a perfect storm. We absolutely did not do anything right on defense, and offensively we were even worse. And we couldn't keep our defense off the field. So it's a team sport. Last week we had 93 snaps. Miami of Ohio had 58. And when you do that, you got a chance. If it's reversed like it was for us in Houston, you're usually going to end up on the short end of the stick if you've got 58 and they've got 93, because right now it's too hot. It's too physical a game. It turns into a track meet of trying to catch people. Guys play 50% of what they normally are at the end of about 60, 65 plays. Now, we do have a little depth, which has helped, and so hopefully that'll carry out a little bit in this game.
Devin Pierce is a kid that went through a lot to get here. Saw his role increase a little bit last week. Is he finally getting where you're feeling comfortable with him on the field?
Yeah, all the backups, we decided in the midweek that 3:30 game, it was 120, 25 on the turf every day. We practiced at that time. We saw at that time even our starters on defense, most of them could not go over 40, 45 plays. And so we just said, hey, this is the week that guys may not have played much, but they got to go. They got to get in the game. They got to listen. We challenged them of preparing themselves and not being a backup or watching and cheerleading on the sideline, but even playing. Devin's one of those guys. He's a corner that's got height. He's got good athletic ability. He hadn't played, but he did play pretty well. He played physical. He got lined up right. Played decent technique, not great. That's what he's going to have to work on, but it was really good to get him in. Again, we've lost almost all of our safeties, but we do have corners. You know, and we're even looking at some corners at safety right now just because of the depth that we have. So Devin is not a surprise. It's just good to get him out there with some confidence and going out and understanding he can do it. You know, he's just got to do the right things.
I was going to say, you talked a lot the last few weeks since Greg Ward was here, and now with
Flowers.
Not athletic quarterbacks actually trying to college football. Are you looking to go that way, or how do you feel about it as
Everybody's looking for him. Everybody's looking for that, you know, the right guy that can throw it. They had a guy as I said, Greg Ward was recruited as a wide receiver, and I guess this kid was too. He played some at wide receiver earlier before they went to this offense. Everybody's looking for that, and the deal is what happens is used to your best player in high school was your tailback when it was a two-back system. Now everybody's taking that tailback or a receiver, slot receiver, and putting it quarterback in the high school system. And you know, it's run first, pass second. They're teaching them to throw, and that's kind of evolving up into our level. We want to stay much more intact at this point with the quarterbacks that we recruited, of a little bit more of a pro style. Now you saw Ross Trail last week, and one of the reasons he played was because he can run the ball. It gives us that extra dimension. He walked in the end zone on one touchdown. He made a 3rd and 12. Hit in the backfield, scrambled around, made 15 yards for a first down. We hadn't had that. And sometimes you have to have a quarterback make a big play out of nothing. Now, we've looked at quarterbacks. We always go out, and most universities and I'll speak for most of us because I talk to a lot of the teams, they look at a drop back quarterback and a athletic quarterback. Everybody's looking for two now, looking for both, and to see if they can fit that in. They're out there, a lot of them's out there. The only problem is it's good for high school, it's good for college, it's not going to be any good for pros.
You mean schools are looking for two different quarterbacks, one drop back and one not playing?
Well, where they can do both, and even the drop back guy, you want more of a Ross Trail. He's not going to be a flashy runner, but he can run. I mean, he can make a play. I mean, he's 4.6 on a good day. Some of these kids are running 4.4s. I mean, Greg Ward, Flowers, I mean, these guys are 10.5, 10.600 meter guys that can fly. But your process then is to get them into the throwing game, to understand coverages, to understand, the feel of a short pass, those kind of things. But I'm going to tell you that it's very hard to defend these guys because their running ability. Last week, Florida State, very good defense. I think Flowers rushed for 175 yards, quarterback. And hard. It's hard. Now, most of them are not as tall as you want. They're 5'8", 5'9". We still want to throw the ball down the field. We still want to read coverages. We want to run a pro-style offense to be able to recruit receivers. Receivers want to play in a pro-style offense. And so it's kind of a one way, if you start on one side and go one way, then you're going to hurt your recruiting in some other areas. So it's one of those things that you got to really balance in recruiting, with your offense. I think our offense is really going to be good, what we're running now, because we do have some of the spread, some of the quarterback run, but also some of the pro-style pass and attack, reading coverages. The problem is you start running your quarterback, you're rolling the dice. I mean, it's what I'm saying. The NFL is really they're going to struggle in the next few years because I see more and more of these type of quarterbacks coming up. You got Jameis Winston who's a tall kid that could do it. The kid from West Virginia a few years ago, from New York. Geno Smith. He's a tall drop back, but also can run. So if you got one of those, you got a Cadillac. You got a guy that can do it all. Some of these kids that you get there, they were tailbacks. They never learned to throw the ball much, but in high school, that's what they want. They don't care about throwing it much. They want to run. I'm not saying we wouldn't do it. It'd be hard. You take Shaq last year, for instance, and put back there. He did well for us in the Wildcats some, but it's just the mentality of he didn't he couldn't throw the ball well enough. He won the state championship, and that's the reason we took him and did that. Jordan Llewellyn, who our first year here, we moved him into the backfield, did the same thing, but he was more of a bigger guy. He wasn't a quick twitch. So.
You haven't done that this year. Did you entertain that yet?
What, a Wildcat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everybody has a Wildcat. We have. I think we ran it a couple of times with Mike in one game.
I know Mike Nolan.
Yeah. Mike's our. We have a couple of Wildcat guys, but he'd be our number one guy. He was good at it last year.
How big of a loss is Bryce Jenkins?
Bryce, we knew it was coming sooner or later. He had problems with his knees, and last year he got thrown into the mix simply for the fact that we lost our middle linebacker before the season started. He played well. He needed a year off. You hate for anybody to get hurt. If it's going to help anybody, it's going to help Bryce to get a little bit bigger, watch some instead of having to play. Fortunately, we've got TK out there playing well, and we're able to move Eric to the Mike linebacker position. That's probably our best combination because Bryce was beat up a lot, and just simply the fact that he wasn't 100%, but he gave it all, and he loved to be playing. But he'll get the year back medically, and so he'll have 3 more years left. But it hurts to have anybody that you don't have out there. Last week, Zach Edwards not playing. I mean, he's our quarterback. He's not just our quarterback for the secondary. He's quarterback for the whole team. He's our leader, and so he's not out there. It gets you can feel it not working as well because he'll get somebody. He'll go grab a lineman and move them over. He'll do something to make sure we're lined up right, and so that's what you lose when you lose the experience of a guy like Zach. And hopefully he's back this week. He's supposed to practice today. Hopefully. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I don't let them. I'm not going. We're not. There's not that much of a difference in a safety like Zach. If we've got a full speed guy that's played, and put him in there as 80%, you don't need to do that. You need to be 100%. And so I'm going to practice him just in case, and we'll push him to a limit. But we want to make sure that if he's just a week away, that we'd take one more week to get him back for the rest of the year and not re-hurt it.
If Hayden's okay, he'll start.
If Hayden's okay, well, we'll have to wait and see. With somebody who hadn't played, there's not a lot of us. I've told y'all this there's not a lot of difference in all three of them. Not a lot of difference. And so if you can't run the running plays that Ross did, if he can't do those, then he won't be playing because he gives us that extra dimension.
So Ross helped himself last.
Yeah. Now he threw two passes that he'd like to have back. One was underthrown just a little bit. The linebacker, we had a great matchup on Tushumbi, and he just underthrew it for an interception. The other one he overthrew. And, those were really the only two that we really talked about. And, again, he threw it to the right person. It was just, getting the right touch on the ball.
Now, the night game, it always seems like it's more intense. If you're sitting on the sideline, you see more into it at night.
Yeah, that's because of the fans. I think the other day we had sold a lot of tickets. There's a lot of people underneath the overhang because it was hot. I wouldn't sit out there. I'd find me a place of shade and something to drink and watch it and enjoy it because it was hot. And I noticed a lot. Behind us was full. The one in the sunshine was not quite as active because it had to be, in the stands, 100 degrees. So. But we do appreciate everybody coming. It was a great atmosphere, even though, it was that hot. But we do like 7 o'clock games at home.
It's a hot topic right now, so I was just curious what your thoughts were about the national anthem protest going on.
National anthem, like I tell our guys, I mean, you can any kind of protest you want to protest, fine. We're not going to do it here on our sideline. I mean, there's other places to do that, and I understand feelings and all that, but we don't need to bring that in college sports. We really don't. I don't think we need it in pro or high school. This is about athletics. There's other avenues that you can hang your hat on to do that.